The fragile peace of the Middle East was shattered by a chilling threat from Iranian MP Navian in early 2026. He warned that any U.S. misstep would result in thousands of American casualties, a direct quantifiable threat that reverberated worldwide. The international community reacted with alarm, seeing this as a dangerous escalation and a sign Iran was ready to risk direct confrontation. Navian also claimed former U.S. President Trump once proposed a limited exchange of strikes, a detail that deepened mistrust. This was not an isolated outburst. It reflected years of proxy wars and Iran's growing military reach through the IRGC and regional militias. The threat was perceived as the regime's official stance, emboldened by its expanding arsenal. Instead of intimidating its adversaries, Navian's words galvanized them, especially Israel. Israeli leaders, long wary of Iran's ring of fire of proxies, now had the justification they needed to act. The statement was the spark in a tinderbox of grievances and military preparations. The world braced for the fallout, as the crisis quickly shifted from Washington to the skies over Lebanon. The consequences of this reckless gambit would soon become clear. Israel's response was swift and overwhelming. Within days, the Israeli Air Force launched a massive operation against Hezbollah targets deep inside Lebanon. Elite F-35I, Adir stealth jets targeted the advanced missile infrastructure Iran had supplied to Hezbollah. Israeli officials declared Iran had crossed a ballistic missile red line, transforming Hezbollah into a strategic threat. The strikes were framed as self-defense, neutralizing an existential danger before it could be unleashed. Key Hezbollah nerve centers and arsenals were hit, sending a clear message to Tehran. Israel would not wait to be attacked. The operation shifted the battleground into Hezbollah's strongholds, demonstrating Israel's willingness to escalate on its own terms. By striking deep in Lebanon, Israel risked a wider war, but calculated that inaction would be even more dangerous. The leadership chose to act from a position of strength, leveraging intelligence and technology to degrade Hezbollah's power. The region watched as Israel's audacious move changed the rules of engagement. Israel's decision to strike was driven by mounting anxiety over Iran's missile advances. The threat was no longer just about numbers, but about precision and mass production. Israeli leaders feared the U.S. focus on Iran's nuclear program ignored the growing missile menace. They worried Washington might accept a deal that left Iran's missile arsenal and proxies untouched. Feeling sidelined, Israel concluded it could no longer wait for international consensus. The strikes were a declaration of strategic independence. Israel would enforce its red lines, alliances notwithstanding. The message was clear. Israel would act alone if necessary to secure its future. The operation was both a warning to Iran and a signal to the world. Israel's operation was a masterclass in modern warfare, precision, intelligence, and overwhelming force. 6 months of intelligence work mapped thousands of Hezbollah targets. 200 high-value sites were prioritized for the first wave. In Beirut's Dahieh district, a massive underground weapons depot was obliterated, triggering a blast felt for kilometers. In Baalbek, a strike during a high-level meeting decimated a key training camp, killing senior Hezbollah and IRGC figures. Forward missile launchers near the Israeli border were systematically destroyed, crippling Hezbollah's ability to launch mass rocket attacks. Targeted assassinations disrupted Hezbollah's command and logistics. The operation's scale and precision sent a powerful message. Israel could dismantle its enemy's capabilities at will. Hezbollah's infrastructure and leadership suffered devastating blows. While Israel acted alone, U.S. support was unmistakable. Washington rapidly reinforced its military presence, deterring Iran from direct retaliation. Advanced U.S. destroyers and the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Group bracketed Iran, projecting power from multiple fronts. THAAD and Patriot missile batteries bolstered Israel's air defenses, creating a dense shield against missile attacks. A massive airlift delivered equipment and personnel, with new hubs established near Iran's borders. The U.S. military posture gave Israel the strategic depth to strike boldly. This silent partnership was crucial. Any attack on Israel risked a U.S. response. The American shield enabled Israel's decisive action. Tehran was thrown into crisis by Israel's devastating strikes. Supreme Leader Khamenei faced a humiliating loss of assets and commanders in Lebanon. Military leaders warned that direct retaliation risked all-out war with Israel, and the U.S. proxy attacks risked Israeli counterstrikes on Iranian soil. Inaction threatened the regime's image of strength. A nuclear dash was the most desperate option, but but likely to trigger preemptive strikes on Iran's facilities. The regime was paralyzed, forced to weigh revenge against survival. Meanwhile, Iran faced mounting internal unrest, protests, economic hardship, and thousands of deaths. The fear of war only fueled domestic instability. Iran's leadership now fought crises on two fronts: external enemies and a restless population. The crisis revealed the power of psychological warfare. Iran's missile rain propaganda billboard meant to intimidate became a symbol of empty threats after Israel's strikes. The phrase, "You hang billboards, we drop bombs," spread across social media, capturing the new reality. Israel's campaign shattered Iran's aura of invincibility and reset the strategic balance. The strikes forced Iran into a corner, exposing its limits and leaving it with only risky options. The future is uncertain. Israel's success has raised the stakes for the entire region. Iran, humiliated and pressured at home and abroad, may yet lash out unpredictably. The U.S. military presence adds volatility, increasing the risk of miscalculation. The shadow war between Israel and Iran has entered a more dangerous phase. The Middle East now faces a new era, where open conflict is more real than ever.